have a look to see what's been banned away. So far, Aphelios, Draven, Irelia, Ken and Zoe, Kiana. It's tended to be Beyond. Have always looked towards that Kiana ban alongside the Zoe after game 1. There's the Aphelios once again away from Doggo.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a bit of the same here. Draven can get taken away here as well. I'm more curious about the two other AD carries, the Lucian and the Misfortune. It's been something that was then banned, then left open. Misfortune started having prowess for both teams. So I'm wondering here in this specific scenario, what AD carry do they feel like have the most value, and what AD carry do they feel like Doggo has the most agency on? Because in the end, that becomes the question.
Also, like, will they still leave up that Draven? Because with the Lee Sin ban, do you want to get rid of something like the Irelia, or are you happy just to keep that as a counter pick possibility for yourself? Kennen taken away from Crazy once again. And does still have that Gwen in his back pocket if they want to look towards that early on. But expectations are Galatasaray here will go for a Draven ban, and then probably Beyond looking to the MF as their first pick.
Yeah, it's something along those lines. They're taking their time with this one. It's actually going to be the Lucian here. Now, if they go for the Misfortune, I can guarantee that Alive will then go for the Ezreal. I think that's the kind of thought process coming into this one. Misfortune will be taken here, so it would not surprise me if we see a jungle rotation here for Mojito and then into an Ezreal. Going with the Rise this early can be dangerous because Moan will still have that Syndra that they can just put it into, and we kind of get put in the same scenario as before, but that just goes to show how much priority Bululu have on this champion.
I mean, it's one of his most played across the course of the year. 7 games on it, we're 8 now. Has won 6 of those, so having a pretty strong performance on it all around. There's the talent once again for Mojito, so pretty much the same draft thus far. Of course, jungle has to change for Beyond. Currently, they're looking towards the Xin Zhao for Husha once again.
Yeah, one of his most played champions already in this tournament. And for Moan here, either you decide to pick that mid laner where you want to challenge the priority against Bululu, or you just wait and have it banned away. And no, I think wisely they go for the Syndra here, which does make a lot of sense. Now, I think you have to pick your AD carry here going into the next one. They'll just get start banned away. That's what we saw happen in the first game, where Beyond Gaming waited so long with picking the AD carry for Doggo to the point where there just really wasn't a lot to go with here. So Ezreal, I think, it's the only real answer you have left here.
He did call it out as soon as you saw the MF picked, so great prediction there from Yuko Borg. And now we'll get into the second phase of picks and bans. Supports both still on the cards alongside that top laners. Expectation is Galatasaray will go support into top before their pick so they can get the counter pick for top lane, as Beyond obviously have to pick both at the same time. Amumu removed from Kino, had his first good game on it of the tournament in game 3.
Definitely, and I think this is a nice scenario here from the side of Galatasaray, because on Beyond Gaming, you can't really ban supports away because you're still missing your own support champion to pick, and all the supports players basically share the same champion pool. Up towards the top side of the map, Liang doesn't play the Gwen as much as Crazy does, so you can start taking away some of Crazy's comfort champions. This also means, though, on the side of Galatasaray, you can ban away another support and leave open the Leona for yourself here. And I think that's the thought process with taking away the Braum, is that you have that Leona freebie going into a 4th pick here, and then leaving counter pick open for top side.
It does make the most sense overall. Beyond now with their final ban could even decide to ban out the Leona if they really wanted to. Make Zergsting play something perhaps that he's less comfortable on, but there is the Jax instead. Irelia worked her way all the way through picks and bans so far. I wonder if that's just going to be a blind for Liang up towards the top side. Jax and Gwen, both good picks into that Irelia. There's the Leona, and now Beyond looking for a strong support for their bot lane duo.
This is where it can become game defining in terms of how this next game is going to go. We pretty much know how the bot lane is going to be. It's going to be that Ezreal farming away the waves with his own Mystic Shot. And then obviously you can have Zergsting either challenge the 2v2 or go out and roam for the map. I think as Galatasaray, you would prefer having him out roaming, helping the top side of the map. So Rakan gets to be the champion paired up with the Misfortune. Rakan obviously not the best pick into the Leona, but it's not the worst pick either. And it sets you up nicely for the follow-up engage with the Sensao or potential top laner that Liang will be locking in for himself.
I mean, leaving Camille open when it's Liang's most played this year with a 60% win rate. It seems like a brave move on the side of Galatasaray, and Camille will be locked in here for Beyond.
I wonder if this is the time where another Fiora will have to come in.
Oh, is that a crazy style?
It would be a crazy curveball to throw into this one, but it would also mean that you wouldn't be challenged so much on the side lanes. Obviously, Gwen is Tracy's most played champion, Renekton also being one of them. So once again, a comfort champion for the likes of the Korean top laner here on Galatasaray, and that sets the stage for 2 comps in the beginning.
Surprised to see the Renekton. Obviously was nerfed relatively recently with the stun duration on his W, but is going to be brought out here by Crazy. As you say, one of his comfort picks, and what better time to pick comfort than when you are 1 game away from the next stage of play-ins knockout stage.
And this is where it becomes so important once again with that mid lane priority. Mon did such a good job at keeping Bolulu under turret in the early stages, because this setup for top lane here is super easy for Galatasaray. If you have 3 men up there, obviously the Renekton talent and the Rise coming in with a Realm Warp, this stun you get to lock down the Camille, it's just going to be too easy for the setup. So as Beyond Gaming, once again, you're relying on keeping Bolulu on the turret, you're relying on having Doggo to play for later in the stages once you reach that mid game. Because Camille, she won't be doing too hard up towards the top lane into the counter pick of Crazy.
Once more into the breach we go. Beyond and Galatasaray fighting for their lives here at Worlds. Beyond, of course, need 2 wins in a row if they're going to make it through to tomorrow. Galatasaray just need the 1-2 games so far. They've come back from behind and been able to take down Beyond. But currently the momentum lies with the PCS representatives. With a win in Game 3, they are looking to continue that trend into Game 4. First time we've seen Galatasaray on the red side as well. Let's see if that Renekton last pick was worth it for them.
It is a champion that has received some changes on this patch as well. Obviously, with the W locking himself in place, the stun timer, it's not as long as it used to be in the past. And this time around, it seems like we'll just be having standard formation against each other here. Junglers, I am still expecting them to path off towards the top side, so just seeing them up towards the top side right now, I think it's just to guard the entrance in terms of if any teams want some early vision. And then I'm expecting them to start from the bot and pathing up to top.
It's kind of been the story of the series, hasn't it? Both junglers love to get up towards that top lane as early as possible. Kino with a deep ward there will spot out if Mojito starts down towards this bottom side. And keeping track of that talent early on is very vital for Beyond's chances. Both top laners going for the flash instead of an Ignite TP or something on this Camille. But Mojito continues to run that Ignite Smite combination on the talent.
Yeah, it's just something on Camille that normally you can try and cheat the lane matchup if you want to, but when you know you're going to be the receiver of so much pressure, you just kind of have to go with the flash just to be safe. And here we go, just to get some early jungle intel, and here we are. They are actually starting bottom. They will be pathing up towards the top, and they will be getting some extra experience from Moen in the mid lane, who cleared out a ward that the Kino helped him with. This actually means, if you didn't know, if you clear ward as a mid laner, you'll get level 2 on the first wave, and that gives you a bit of pressure when we're talking about priority.
Yeah, we'll keep our eyes on that mid lane because Bolulu will be pushed back just a little bit. Crazy trading with Liang in that top lane. It's grasp on the Camille to the Conqueror of Crazy. So Conqueror will be, Crazy will be enjoying some of these slightly prolongated trades.
And there we have it, level 2 has been hit first here. That's what happens when you give over the ward. It's a bit tilting as a mid laner, because there's not really much you can do about it. Didn't come down to the wave pressure, but all in all, it is how the situation have been established here. And this also gives some extra leeway to the side of Beyond, because if it's not going to be about a dive towards the top side, then it's going to be about who can get the top side scuttle. And how the mid lane is postured, at least right now, it should be going over to the Beyond.
Galatasaray will get level 2 first in that bottom lane. You can see the respect that Doggo and Kino were playing, just backing all the way off. Crazy continuing to trade on the top side into Liang. That Cold Meek doing quite a lot of work as Liang continues to work his way through his potions. Does have the Doran's shield, so we'll be able to passively regenerate quite a lot of health. Husha here spotting the fact that he was on a ward, continues to go for the flank. Doggo trading in the bottom lane as Zergsting continues to press forward. Alive took quite a lot of damage there, and the double up onto Zergsting as well, going to chunk him out. Both of the Galatasaray bot laners down around 300 HP.
Yeah, wait a minute, I've seen this one before. You don't want to go too far forward as the Galatasaray bot lane and get caught up in a bad position again. I think Mojito as well was spotted on a vision, going over the wall. Scuttle's obviously not respawned just yet, 5 seconds. Husha clearing out the blue buff, and top lane priority is in the favor of Crazy. With both mid laners at their moment, being able to move if any scuttle skirmish should arise.
It really feels like which top laner gets down here first. Crazy does get the wave pushed in. Liang's going to be able to catch it, and Husha is down towards that scuttle crab. Does have smite. Mojito does not have one of his own. Balulu's trying to trade in here, but with the smite, Husha should be able to secure this one pretty easily.
It's quite interesting as well. You can see Balulu actually opted in for the water walking as well in his rune, so he can roam down towards the lane after getting priority so fast. Just a niche little thing to see from the runes.
It really feels like the mid laners are there to facilitate junglers in this game. Obviously, as the game goes on, they would put out a lot of DPS, but it's about, well, can we get to Husha? Can we get to Mojito and actually get them these early scuttle crabs? Because now Husha's got both of them. Mojito's doing his Krugs up towards the top side. Actually, it looks like Crazy's going to catch the wave here. Hope that this wave pushes in, but it's not a stacked wave or anything. It's just a cannon. Looks like Mojito's going to try and trade onto Liang. Balulu on his way up towards the top side as well, but yet to hit level 6. It doesn't have the realm. What? Turn it back around. Ignite ticking. Liang just trading onto Mojito. And I'm not sure what Galatasaray thought was going to happen there. Liang keeps the wave away from the tower. Balulu will come in. No flash available. Balulu flashes in, so it's a 1-for-1 in the end with a TP burn from Moan. But Mojito just way too greedy.
Obviously, that's just a red buff transfer now. Balulu has to red buff, so there you go. Gives you some extra priority in that mid lane, as we're talking about. But no, a setup was a bit too greedy from Mojito. We all clearly knew what he was trying to do. He's buying time for Balulu to get up there. He was waiting for Crazy to have the minion wave proxy, so he could just come under and dive him. But it was a good read by Liang. He knew how the situation looked like, and he got something back in return. Now Husha is looking down towards bottom lane, and that's a low HP Barn Zergsting.
Back from Zergsting, he just wasn't paying attention to the fact that Kino could just jump in there. Zergsting had flash, does still have it here, but it's going to be slow with the make you in. Then flashes away after the slow connects. Doggo could flash auto and does exactly that. Alive next on the menu, has to flash heal, and oh, Galatasaray, you've just been greedy all over the map.
Yeah, I think you just get out of this situation there. Really nice by Husha coming down there. I don't think you could have cancelled the recall for Zergsting. What he was trying to do is just make a channel so he could get back as soon as possible. Didn't end up working. And now, once again, in the early game, a small lead developed by Beyond.
Doggo already got that serrated dirt built up. Importantly, Alive was able to get, Sheen and Tyr, so he's in an okay position, but it's actually quite tricky for Galatasaray right now to play this bottom lane because they don't have any summoners.
Yeah, this also meant that Doggo got to push it in, so he got more CS on that end. And now, with the resets coming through, supports out of the map.
Moen caught out, flashes away from the Rune Prism, but with the Zenith Blade, that's enough for Balulu. Good roam there from Zergsting to be able to pick up the kill. Now they're going to continue to push forward as Husha and Kino are waiting in the wings. Could just be a Grump taken away here. Mojito should be building up towards that level 6. Zergsting with a long flank into the Zenith Blade, but of course, Crazy and Mojito can just chase this one down. They didn't know Kino was waiting in the bush. Liang coming in as well. Great tactical sweep by Husha. So low already. That's the first one down. Liang's trying to trade it back across. Doggo coming in to join this party, and he is looking at his health bars hungrily. Crazy pushing forward, but he will fall as well. Doggo gets the kill. Yeah, you can see Balulu was trying to make his way up there. He had the Realm Warp, but in the end, it's just Galatasaray overforcing a little bit, and that's also what we talked about with Doggo being down in the bot lane, pushing in the bot wave for himself, which meant that he had the tempo to move up towards the top side first, while Alive was spending so much time walking back here. Now, it does have a price. You are losing a bit, but in the grand scheme of things, you're still very happy about the trade here for Beyond. Across the board, you can see Doggo actually gaining overall about 150 gold out of that prolonged trade. He lost the plate down towards the bottom lane. Mid lane, large lead for Balulu, 2-0-0 on this rise. One of his signature picks continues to be impressive on it, but last game he really wasn't able to have an impact in the mid-game team fight, so we'll have to see if he can do it in this one, because although there has been a lot of action, Galatasaray are actually even on gold still here with Beyond. Yeah, but this is also one of the more action-packed games we've had in this series so far, and the fact that we can see Doggo all of a sudden being one of these members with priority moving up towards the top side instead is the exact opposite of what we've seen in the past, with the rest of Beyond collapsing around Doggo. So the fact we get to see Beyond use the pressure, not from the mid lane this time around, but the bot lane to influence the map, is super nice to see. Obviously, Zergsting started it out with his own Leona roam, but it's just both teams right now not willing to give up the priority on the different sides of the map. And you can see where those advantages have been built as well. Like Crazy has a 20 CS lead in the top lane. Liang has been forced behind, even though, of course, Liang was able to pick up a couple of kills in those prolonged trades. Balulu has a lead in the mid lane as well. No CS, but 2 kills to naught. Whereas Doggo, once again for Beyond, is the key focus.
And that's the priority we talk about once again. Bot lane is pushed in. It means Kino can move up first. They can start the Rift Herald quite comfortably. There's no way for Galatasaray to actually contest this objective. So right now, nothing they can do. Mojito forced to clear his Crocs. The laner still just picking up the waves. And it leaves a play open for Beyond to now have the Rift Herald in inventory and go for a gold extension or lead in whatever lane they would prefer.
Question is where they decide to put that down. Mojito roaming around here. Liang, very look, that damage from Crazy. Iron Spike whip. Absolutely whipping Liang into shape. Husha here, but should be able to survive any possible dive, of course, with the Crescent Guard. Husha is relatively safe, just wants to catch the wave, wants to catch this XP. Liang no TP, so wouldn't have been able to get back here quickly to take it anyway. Mojito is going to look to take this blue, and Balulu using the fact that he shoved out the mid wave to come across and steal this one alongside his jungler.
Should be able to potentially get a wolf camp as well here. Reset timers are coming through and mid lane has just been pushed in. Down towards the bottom lane. That's a different story though for Galatasaray, with Zergsting being a bit aggressive.
I was wondering if perhaps they were looking for a TP. Balulu's is only a couple of seconds off cooldown. He has shoved in that wave once again. They might just be trying to keep Liang away from this wave. 2 plates have already fallen in the top lane for Galatasaray. Liang is here, and no one from the rest of his team is on this side of the map. Liang's going to be able to get away for the moment, but the Realm Warp will chase him down. Liang now rune prisoned, has already flashed. There's a great Hexagol Ultimatum to keep himself alive. The Ignite will tick. Liang forced away once again, but now this means the Rift Herald can be used in the bottom side. Doggo wasn't taking up the tower. That's a Rift Herald coming down. Bullet time used as well, and Zergsting should be the first to fall here. Great Solar Flare will get the stun onto Husha, who has to flash away with the Crescent Guard. Rift Herald comes in, does not take down the tower, so Alive will survive. TP's coming in, but that's Balulu to the mid lane.
Yeah, so nothing is going to go on later in the exchange here for Galatasaray. They're leaving Alive alone, and he's fighting Doggo right now.
He should be able to walk away from this one. Actually burns the flash just to make sure that Kino couldn't go for the grand entrance. 5 plates once again in the bottom lane here for Doggo as he gets one more auto attack down to take down the turret. Mojito trying to catch out Kino. Kino does still have the flash grand entrance and can battle dance as well as the case may require.
Yeah, no ultimate for Mojito just yet, but they're still fancying this one. Teleport is coming through from Crazy now, but the rest of Beyond, they're just going to reset. This TP is not going to gain you anything significant. You can start up the Drake, but I think you are going to be able to do that regardless. So Galatasaray really fetching, seeming a bit desperate here.
It looks like they might be trying to get as many plates as possible down towards this bottom lane. They didn't even start up the Dragon. Alive can now push forward towards that tower. Dragon started, as you said. Galatasaray will be able to secure it, but because of this, they're actually going to lose some time and some tempo on the top side. You can see Liang, who had been put miles behind in this game, is now going to be able to get at least a plate, although Balulu might have something to say about that.
Yeah, they make the adaptation once again of putting Crazy in the mid lane then and then moving Balulu up towards the top side. It's something we saw earlier in the last game as well, so still some nice play around their waves here, but you're gonna need more than that heading into the mid game. But so far, despite a game that's been feeling like it's Beyond Gaming who's been attacking Galatasaray, they're actually a small amount ahead right now.
Yeah, 100 gold or so, nothing monumental, and we see that switch as we talk about it. But I think the important thing for Galatasaray is that it's still even, at least, right? Like, last time at 11 minutes, they were 2-3k gold behind. Here, keeping it even, getting towards those team fights where they do thrive, where they do shine, is a big win for them. And alongside that, all the gold isn't focused on one person. But previously, it's been Mojito, you know, with 3 or 4 kills here. But Lulu has a couple. Crazy has a sizable CS lead, you know, 47 CS at the 12-minute mark is nothing to be sniffed at. Alongside that, has already finished off his Gore Drinker.
But right now, towards the top side of the map, you can see that Beyond Gaming has been doing a good job at setting up their own aggressive vision here. So it's letting Lian have a bit more breathing room. There's a ward towards the Raptors. You have the wards up towards the Crocs here. And in the lane as well. So this top side is completely secure right now with the vision. This allows Liang to just pick up the waves while the rest of his team is chilling with the plates that they can get for themselves.
It's usually Doggo who's been given over these plates. 5,600 gold already on the AD carry, more than 1,000 greater than anyone on his team, actually almost more. Husa is just above the threshold for that. But you can see Doggo always the key target for Beyond. Realm Warp, a possibility here for Balulu, but he might just chase this one in. He's got the Rune Prison, stunned back with the Scatter of the Weak, continues to chase as Mojito going in as well. Zergsting going down. There's the cleanse coming out with the Solar Flare. We'll get the stun still though. Alive, dead before that stun can land. Meanwhile, in the top lane, TP's coming in as Beyond look to take another trade. Crazy getting forced away. Zergsting still chasing. Crazy flashes. Will be able to escape underneath this tower mountain with a flash as well, but still Crazy able to survive.
I'm sorry, what? Crazy was the one going 1v2. He needed to teleport, and then he started to back off.
Yep.
That is the exact top lane pressure you need, because now you pushed in the mid lane and you've caught Beyond in a little bit of a chokehold here.
Balulu needs to be careful, just doesn't want to get caught out. He's the key damage source here. He flashes in, Wind becomes lightning coming out as well as Mojito tries to dive onto the backline. Mawan already down, exhaust a little bit too late. Balulu has fallen. Mawan's going to try and trade in here, but that's another one as Mojito takes it. Liang getting forced away by Crazy with this Predator for the stun. Liang still able to survive.
Yeah, not over chasing it this time around, but you get some nice gold on towards Mojito and Balulu in that exchange there. You can see Mojito now on a killing spree, actually, with the extra shotgun gold that he's been able to net himself. And up towards the top side, Crazy, he should be able to finally take down this turret. I say that, no, TP comes in and will save it. But it's just how scary he's becoming on this Renekton, and it shows why it had the priority it did towards the fifth counter pick.
Have another look at this trade in the X replay. Mojito goes in with the shadows up, Balulu flashing forward.
And it just becomes a situation where it's a really nice knock-up from Kino, keeping Mawan alive for longer than he probably should have been, but with the extra priority to come through from Crazy, there's no way they can actually chase this down. AD carries are resetting as well, so Mojito opts in to not overdive this time around.
It's something that can always be a foil for some teams, just that little bit of adrenaline, the rush of blood to the head that makes you want to be a bit more aggressive. Gold still pretty even between these two teams, although Beyond Gaming have extended a 500, 600 gold lead. They are going to get their second herald of the game as well, as we have yet to see a tower fall for Galatasaray, but Balulu might want to change that instead. Just once again shoves in the way. Vision control so strong for Beyond that it's actually very hard for Galatasaray to continue to push in, because they really don't have the awareness of where anyone from Beyond is.
You know what, coming from a team as Beyond, yeah, where they had so many issues setting up objectives, they've been doing a really good job this time around to actually sharpening up this vision that you're talking about, Medic. Even now, Mojito down here, he will be spotted out. Moang can just back off, but...
That's the scout of the week. Kino is here. Grand Entry is going to get the knock-up onto Mojito, and Mojito was just too greedy here. Shadow Assault does get him to safety. He's ticking, but that was a lot closer than I think he wanted.
But it gives Beyond that agency that we were talking about, the fact that they can rely on their teammates to be at the right time because they have the intel to go for some of these plays. And now, with Mojito forced to back off with Balulu down towards the bottom side, they're going to be using this Rift Howl around the mid lane for Dogo here.
And that's going to crack that mid lane tower. Dogo gets a couple of auto attacks in, the tower goes down. Extra 200 gold in the back pocket. They'll try and shepherd the Rift Howl in, but I'm afraid Zergsting is having none of that. Kino's in a good position for the flank. Obviously doesn't have the quickness, doesn't have his flash either. But getting these deep wards can be so good into a Talon.
They need to be a bit careful though here, because Crazy does have TP advantage. So if Galatasaray wanted to or was quicker, the setup just isn't there. So yeah, there we go. Beyond able to pick up the first Drake for themselves here to keep a potential stacking going. It is going to be that Infernal once again, which is a really good Drake for just spice things up a bit once we reach that late game.
I mean, it's great for Syndra as well, the amount of burst, and Syndra and MF, I'd say, just love the amount of burst that you can get out from the Infernal Soul. 2 items already complete on Doggo with the Eclipse Yumu's. He's in such a powerful spot and continues to show just why the team invests so many resources into him.
And the fakes all across the board are finally getting completed now for both teams here, to the point where it's going to be a battle of control now once again. This is going to be the time where we reach that 20-minute mark, and it's going to be where we see Beyond Gaming take even more control than they've had before, because in the game they won, in Game 3, at least they had such a monumental gold lead that it was just so hard to actually throw away that lead. Although we did see that Game 2, but that's not the point. The point is this time around that it's way closer. You can't allow yourself to have the same slip-ups that you did with an even bigger gold lead. So for Galatasaray now, remember, historically speaking, this has been their style. Taking it slow is exactly how they like it. And in terms of map control, they have been able to garner more for themselves. They have been able to take control of side lanes while they are losing out on the mid lane. This is still nice for them, because with Galatasaray, thematically, it has been about the solo laners.
It definitely has. Balulu's in a good spot to output quite a lot of damage in these later game fights. 2-1 and 2. Everfrost complete, building up towards the Seraphs next, you would assume, on this rise. Gold basically even between the two teams. Objectives even, towers even, Realm Warp coming in. Not taken. Unleashed power available for Marwan if he wants it, but Mojito just stepping forward. Quickness coming out from Kino. There's the charm. Mojito, though, goes on a killing spree. Kino now underneath the tower. Xerxes going to try and tank it up. Bullet time used. Mojito walks right into it, and there's 2 quick kills over to Doggo.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Solar Flare doesn't connect, but Doggo coming in with the strut there, and the misfortune and reason why she's so powerful as well is the fact that she can rotate so goddamn fast in between these 2 lanes. Bullet time, absolutely perfect as well for Doggo. Just beautiful, fantastically done.
Really good rotations as well by Beyond, making sure that no one is on an island this game. And Doggo continues just to gobble up gold here. 9,500 on him. Crazy going in. Hexagon Maiden being used. Double TPs popped here. Galulu's going to join this fight, but it's too little too late. Marwan trying to trade into this. Crazy decides to target the Syndra. Husha coming in from the back as well. Liang might be dead before he can even get there. Everfrost used. They jump back in. Crazy trying to heal up. Husha coming in for the fight as Kino joins it. Husha trades onto Crazy. Crescent Guard will knock him back, and Liang takes the kill. Balulu now needs to get out of this. Doesn't have flash. Kino flash exhaust. Into the follow-up. True shot barrage from the side. Stopwatch popped by Balulu. But immediately afterwards, he will go down. Liang takes the kill. He's now on a killing spree.
Yeah, so it's a longer exchange there, but in the end, it's Beyond that ends up on top. Mojito clearing out the red buff, and Xerxes just not there in time as the skirmish was happening closer to Beyond's base. So only naturally that members will get there first, and does allow them to finally punish this side lane up towards the top lane. It's been a tower they've been having difficulties taking down, and Mojito's just still going to continue to make it a nuisance for them.
I will say, though, Liang, after being 50, 60 CS down, is now 4-1 on this Camille. Divine Sundra, complete Tiamat, done as well. And you wonder whether or not they've shut that Camille down well enough. Crazy, of course, does still have Flash, Ruthless Predator, 4 later fights. You can just jump onto a single target, but can become a little bit tricky as these fights go on, especially with how strong Doggo is. Mojito coming in here, Xerxing flash, Zenith Blade, lands the stun, there's the Solar Flare chase, Shadow Assault, and that is a very dead Syndra. Great stuff from Galatasaray.
It's super nice done by Xerxes. He navigates himself in the enemy jungle where he's not on vision. Mojito does get spotted out, but he's a Talon, so he's just going to jump over the wall. The flash to punish, no summoner spells on Moan. Nicely done here by Xerxes, finding ways for his team to stay even in this game.
Basically even between the 2 of them alive. Not in the shop, or even if he was, very quick to react to the fact that Kino wanted him to stay around. Kino actually going for the Hextech, the Chemtech Putrifier here as the first item on Rakan. Often you see a Shurelia's, but I do like the healing reduction into double Gore Drinker. I think it works quite well. And it does mean that no one else on your team needs to go down that Executioner's route.
Yeah, but it also means that I think, well, that doesn't mean this, but the objective setup is now coming in for 30 seconds. And it's going to be not a soul point for either of these teams, but getting this Infernal Drake stacking in a game that's this slow can create a lot of pressure for the enemy team. So taking control of the mid lane and bottom lane now to get the vision around it is going to be so important for a potential fight that might occur around it.
I mean, the big thing is, for Galatasaray, they just can't be caught out by this misfortune. If she ever gets a full bullet time off, you're pretty much dead. 3 items already complete. Colormeat used by Crazy to start up the Dragon. Ward behind, cleared out. Beyond now stepping forward. Kino with a good flank position, has the quickness, doesn't have a flash. Dragon down to 3,000, both teams eyeing each other up, wary. Aware that a single misstep could start the end of your series as they go in. Xerxing so low already, and there's the bullet time. He's gone through 2 quick kills over to Beyond. Balulu caught out as well, pops the stopwatch, but Mojito was nowhere near this. That's 3, make it 4. Crazy's not going to be able to escape from 3 members of Beyond, and it's a clean fight for Beyond. Mojito also on the back line trying to do something here. Dives into Fog of War, trades back onto Doggo, gets 1, looking for 2. Doggo still has a stopwatch. 5 for 1 in favor of Beyond, and they take the Infernal.
League of Stopwatch, baby. It's coming in there clutch for Doggo, and here we see the composition of Galatasaray not on the map, but together clumped around the Drake with a team fight composition of Beyond Gaming just flourishes.
Does that kill Doggo?
I mean,
does that kill Doggo?
No, but it doesn't kill anyone.
They back off.
But it makes them back off, and in the end, you can see how many difficulties Galatasaray all of a sudden face. They don't have that backline access. It's super hard for them to get on the key members of Beyond, and even if they do, there's the Crescent Strike to just take care of you and knock you away. On the other hand, though, you had the Rakan, you had the Xin Zhao just dashing in together with the Camille, and because of this, there's nothing Galatasaray could do. The team fighting was just supreme from Beyond.
And that was team fighting at an even keel, maybe 700 gold difference. Now it's up to 3,000 in favor of Beyond. They have their second dragon, of course, didn't take the Baron off the back of that, but you have a 705 Misfortune who's at 3 items, almost bit her fourth, the last Whisper sitting there, waiting to be completed. And it just becomes trickier and trickier. And Galatasaray got early leads in the top lane. Have another look at that dragon fight in this Axe replay.
I'm curious as to why they started it as well here. They get split up here, Zergsting trying to look for the Syndra, but even if Zergsting finds it here, you'll have to fight your way through a potential zoning bullet time or just the other people waiting around for you, and it's just so difficult to team fight.
Oh, what are you doing there, Liang? Hexagoldematum comes out. That's a shutdown. That's huge for Balulu. 600 gold in his back pocket. I guess he just didn't expect Galatasaray to be in the area because Beyond were pushing in the mid lane tier 2, but Galatasaray willing to give up that second tower to make sure that they can find a kill.
Yeah, so the power right now of Beyond is them staying together, being a team, getting these objectives taken down. But on the other side for Galatasaray, it's about these individuals making sure that they can find the picks on the side lane, and Teleport has now come through. No way.
They might try and sneak it. They might have been looking to see perhaps if Doggo overextends. Marwan now down towards the bottom side. There's the Dominus. Ruthless Predator stun. Marwan pops a stopwatch. We'll have Scout of the Week. Can Crazy dodge it? Flash away. Scout of the Week still used. Crazy should be able just to slice and dice, but Doggo's on the way. TP coming in, and immediately Galatasaray like, okay, you want to invest everything in the bottom side? We're just going to go for the Baron. Crazy will sacrifice himself for the good of the team. Baron will be taken for Galatasaray. And that gives them a very big window to get back in this game. TP is expended, but that's way too late.
Great bait by Crazy there in that situation to just get a TP expended as well, and no one paying attention to the fact that Baron has been on the map. So Beyond in the mid game as well, just a little bit of a slip up here, pulling Galatasaray back into the game. They're still going to struggle in the team fight scenarios. It doesn't all of a sudden just make your composition better at that than Beyond, but it allows you to open the map up on the side lanes instead, and that's exactly what you want to see as Galatasaray.
And it does deny that option from Beyond as well. Just keeps you in the game a little bit longer, means that you can get to 3 items on the right, 3 items on the Ezreal before you lose too much more. You can see that Red Bull Baron power play is going to start going towards those negative numbers pretty rapidly, only plus 500, but importantly, they have taken it away from Beyond, and Galatasaray find their windows, find their opportunities to get something out of this game.
Yeah, but they also need to wait for Crazy to respawn before Galatasaray can fully utilize what their composition wants to do now. So you have Balulu in the top side clearing away the enemy jungle, and then he's going to be taking care of the top tower. He's going to be pushing back a little bit to buy his own teammates room towards the mid lane, towards the bottom lane. That's the thing with 1-3-1s. You don't want to be the only member who's pushing forward. You want to take into account where the enemies are before you step too far forward, or else you'll just get caught off guard.
Yeah, especially since this Beyond composition is very good at diving on you. You know, a Camille, a Xin Zhao can isolate you pretty quickly, and of course the Rakan is there for any initial CC that you might need. Galatasaray will be hoping to break this tier 1 in the mid lane at some point, but all of Beyond are making a beeline for the mid lane. Beeline to defend the hive that is this tower. Live continues just to chip away, but won't have enough damage to really make a meaningful impact.
Yeah, and you can see both solo laners are recalling now. Balulu doesn't have TP, but Crazy does, and I think they want the last resets before this Drake starts in 30 seconds. So now you talked about 3-item power spike medics. Balulu finally sitting on those 3. Unfortunately, the rest of his teammates just not at that point just yet. But it looks like they still want to threaten the idea of it, at least with the Baron buff they have to get that extra pressure. Mojito up into top side. Obviously, he's playing Talon, so he can be down in bot lane, as soon as he wants to, realistically speaking.
I wonder if there's just an argument just to give this up. Do you give up the dragon, you put pressure down towards the side lane, you have Baron buff for the next 40 seconds, just be like, okay, we'll take some tier 2s. That seems to be what Mojito's decision has been here. It's not soul, it is only soul point for the side of Beyond, assuming you can apply pressure in a couple of different lanes. This can work out. Balulu is shadowing there. Rakan still in the mid lane alongside Doggo. Kino there to defend. Liang going in as we look towards the mid lane. The dragon about to go down, but Liang is already dead. Baron buff remains. Dragon secured. Alive diving in. They look for Husha, who has to flash. This is an inhibitor tower for Galatasaray. Maybe even an inhibitor if they can continue to push in here, but Kino is on his way. Mojito and Balulu will have Realm Warp to get out if they so desire. Quickness popping. There's the Shurelias as well. Mojito still on the chase. Kino going in. Rune Prison would have been enough, but the bullet time comes out. Balulu pops a stopwatch. Can you turn this around? Balulu, you need to do so much. Can't do it. Doggo chased out. Alive now in a bad position. Zenith Blade goes wide. Alive is down. TP coming in. There's the Solar Flare as Crazy goes in with the Dominus. Husha underneath the tower. Zergsting there tanking it up as well. Good scatter of the week. Zergsting flashes, but he will fall as well, and it's all over the place for Galatasaray. Looks like they tried to bite off more than they could chew. Crazy's going to try and run away, but Husha will just be able to sustain up through this. The exhaust comes down as well. Crazy. Well,
it's
that
going to be an
sequence
ace.
of plays it's an ace for Beyond in Galatasaray. They just tried to do too much.
I like what they did initially. You called out the play medic. We're talking about how they were going to give up the soul point and then try to create their own pressure on the top side, but they wanted too much. They got too greedy. And that's fair for the top side. You know what happens, okay? We've all been there. But then what happens in the mid lane, you getting engaged on while you have members performing a play on the top side, with then Crazy TPing in, just takes away so much of your tempo. Now you don't have that extra TP in the side lane. Now Balulu will be the only one with it. And now you are on a timer, because the next Drake will be in an Infernal Soul.
So this is really smart from Balulu. He's actually hiding outside in Fog of War.
Yeah.
This point, you get the tower. You try and think that maybe you can lock down Kino and Doggo. Realm Warp you can't use because the quickness is there.
Yeah.
Pretty impossible to escape.
I just don't understand what Mojito is doing in this instance while he's not just running away. Doggo has that Shroud, he has that damage, and, you know, Cyril Destrotch just performs that extra slow. So a mishap on misplays from the side of Galatasaray, unfortunately.
And then the mid lane play, it's like Alive and Zergsting obviously either rotating towards the top lane, trying to get there to help their teammates, or just caught out, because really you shouldn't be in that position. You should back off and chip away. You had Baron, still 3,000 gold between these two teams. Baron up in a minute's time as well. Galatasaray very much against the ropes. Beyond continue to pull them around the map.
But this is looking really good for Beyond, because we've already seen what they do as a cohesive unit. Their team fighting is just better at this point in the game. So if it comes down to Drake spawning and you're already on the objective, it's going to be difficult for Galatasaray. So right now they need to abandon some of the fundamentals of League. They can push in a lane, but in the end it's going to come down to them finding a pick so they can create a man advantage before a big objective.
I mean, at the moment they have a 5v4. If they can find this before Liang comes in for the teleport. Beyond, though, continue to hold them at arm's length. Solar Flare goes down. That's only onto Moamo. Mojito in a good position. Husha maybe looking for the engage. There's the quickness coming out from Kino. Wave cleared. Both teams fighting over priority, but remember that with Liang pushing in, Beyond can just rotate up towards the top lane. They can move up there as 5. Zergsting continues to look to clear out these waves. Alive chipping away as much as he can. Another ward goes down. And Beyond do exactly that. They move all 5 players up towards the top side. Tier 2 is going to go down. They might even look to open up this inhibitor. Of
course, and that's one of the disadvantages when you're only playing one lane. But as Galatasaray, you try and you kind of have to. Yeah. Now it becomes a 5v5 though.
Hexagon Dominion coming out. There's a bullet time as well, and the quickness. Oh my god, that bullet time was absolutely disgusting. Doggo kills Mojito. He will fall to the tick. Doesn't even do that. He survives in the end. Balulu was nowhere to be found as he was clearing the mid lane, but Beyond Gaming, unwilling to give up, are taking us all the way to 5.
It was a tough game this time around for Beyond, but they actually kept their pace, they kept their mentality going, and they had good setups towards this end here. Amazing done with Beyond, adapting and fixing some of their issues throughout the series to try and pull off a reverse sweep.
One game away from it. A lot of people would have looked at the first 2 and said Beyond should have taken those. Well, now they are starting to get rolling. 2 in a row so far, looking to make it 3. Galatasaray. Early game was much better. Didn't fall so far behind, but they just couldn't quite make things stick when it got towards those mid-game fights.
And once again, some of it has to go back to the performance, some of it has to go back to the draft, because at this point of view, you could only play the side lanes. Once it came to a group fight, which all of the series so far has come down to, you did not have the tools, you did not have the agency and the champions, and therefore it was easier for Beyond to close out the series than it had been before, because it was the comebacks mechanics in Galatasaray's team fighting that allowed them to crawl back from a goal deficit.
Just great stuff all around from both teams. It has been neck and neck, back and forth, and I'm looking forward to our final game of this best of 5. We've still got a whole other one after this. Next, the State Farm Analyst Test will break down that game 4 as we head into some silver scrapes. Stay tuned.